It is a distinct honor and pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Abram Foxman. After serving 28 years as National Director and a total of 50 years with the Anti-Defamation League, Abram Foxman retired in 2015 and became its National Director Emeritus. The Anti-Defamation League is known throughout the world as a leader in the fight against anti-Semitism, hatred, prejudice, bigotry, and discrimination, and it flourished under the leadership of Mr. Foxman. World-renowned as a leader in the fight against anti-Semitism, bigotry, and discrimination, he continues to speak out on issues of global anti-Semitism, the war on terrorism, church-state issues, religious intolerance, and the Holocaust. As the author of several books, he most recently co-authored Viral Hate, Containing Its Spread on the Internet. Mr. Foxman's background and experience have contributed significantly to the development of meaningful relationships between different groups of people, both here at home in the United States and also abroad in other countries. He has had consultations throughout the world with world leaders on problems of ethnic hatred, violence, terrorism, and the promotion of democracy, including his multiple meetings with Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. Mr. Foxman is indeed a great supporter of the State of Israel and of the Middle East peace process. In his regular travels to Israel, he works closely with officials there and with the United States to ensure the safety and the security of the Jewish state. In his work on the Holocaust, Mr. Foxman has facilitated worldwide attention to a focus on the heroic efforts of Christian rescuers of Jews, and he has been a leader in developing education programs about Jewish resistance to the Nazis. Of his multiple recognition by civil society, may I single out his honor, which was bestowed on him in October 2006 by the President of France, Jacques Chirac, who made him a Knight of the Legion of Honor, which is France's highest civil honor. Born during the Holocaust in Poland, Mr. Foxman was saved by his Polish Catholic nanny, who baptized him and raised him as a Catholic until his parents returned to claim him after the Second World War. Given his topic tonight, I am quite sure that we're going to learn much more about Abe's personal story and about his perspective on this important issue. So please join with me in welcoming Mr. Foxman.
Thank you. Before I speak, I want to share something with you. Children, the sight of children, the voices of children evoke in survivors very special thoughts. And so, tears come to my eyes when I see children. When I see children singing, dancing, for they give the lie to the dreams of destroying our people and other people. Teure und liebe Freund, Achenu b'nei Yisrael, wir stehen daheim bei Nacht mit Pein und mit der Herz zu der Monnen und gedenken 6 Millionen Kedoshim und mir, die Leben gebliebene, die Sheres Apleita, zu sagen Kaddish und zu sagen Yizkor. Dear friends, it is more than fitting that a part of tonight's observance, but any observance be spoken in the Lashon HaKodesh Yiddish, the mother tongue of the majority of the martyrs in Eastern Europe, who issued their last anguished cry at the mass graves in Yiddish. Since most perished without coming to Kever Israel, without coming to Jewish burial, we all here are assembled symbolically in front of such a grave of martyrs, and we should therefore say, Shal na lecha me'al raglecha, ki hamakom asher ata omed alav kodeshu. You should remove thy shoes, because the place upon which you tread is a mass grave, and the soil is holy. I stand here tonight with great feelings of humility. First, because we are assembled to memorialize. And the task of memorializing 6 million is one which is so awesome, for which all of us are inadequate. And second, I feel great humility in the very fact that I'm standing here before you, since, as you've heard, I'm personally a survivor of that destruction. So, yes, forgive me in that I will speak these few words this evening very, very personally, as a survivor who as a child lived through the Shoah. I was born in the wrong time, at the wrong place for a Jewish kid. Nazi-occupied Poland in 1940 was not the best place to be born. And yet, with the intercession of Nisim, of miracles, and the intercession of one special person's kindness, courage, compassion, and decency, I managed to survive. And as I grew older, I tried to understand what it meant that I had survived. And the first set of questions were very, very serious questions, existentialist questions of why. Why, I asked, did the Shoah happen to the Jewish people? Why did over 1.5 million Jewish children perish? Why was the world silent? Why, oh why, didn't the Almighty intervene? To those universal questions of why were added very, very personal questions. Why me? Why me and not the other little boys and girls, the Chaims and the Chanas? Why not they? Why me? My parents who also survived struggled every day and every night with that why. Why did they survive and not their brothers, their sisters, their nieces, their nephews, their aunts, their uncles, who I would hear were so much more pious, so much more righteous? Why not Manyak? Why not Chaim? Why not Poida? Why not Sarah? And there are no answers. And as I grew older, I realized that there are no answers, only questions. But two facts in the struggle to understand whether there is an answer became very, very clear. One is, and that relates to justice, one is that the world knew. There was no CNN, there was no Fox News, there were no satellite feeds from far-off places, there was no internet, yet the world knew. Those in positions of power to make decisions to stop what was happening knew. They knew every day how many Jews were killed on August 21st, 1941, in Lodz, in Baranovich, in Minsk, in Bialystok. They knew. And for years previous, they knew what was happening to the Jews even before then. Kristallnacht made the news, and they didn't do very much about that, nor about the worst that was to follow. So the first lesson for us is to know about bigotry, to know about hatred, to know who it is that threatens our democracy, our freedoms. It's extremely, extremely important that we know. But knowing is not enough. The second thing that became clear to me is that wherever, whenever, however good people said no, whenever good people stood up and said no to hate, Jews lived, Gypsies lived, Christian leaders lived, gays lived. Yes, there was an Oskar Schindler who saved 1,200 Jews. There was a Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat, who saved maybe 50,000, maybe 100,000 Jews. There was an Albania and a Bulgaria. Ironically, it was in the Balkans. The Balkans wrote a magnificent chapter of humanity, not in the capital cities that provided us with philosophy, with music, with art, with opera. No, that page, that magnificent page, was written in the Balkans. Bulgaria saved all its Jews because from the king to the patriarch to the peasants to the parliamentarians, they all said no. And Albania saved all its Jews. I stand here tonight because there was a lady who could barely read and write, who really didn't sit down to weigh and measure the risks. For maybe if she measured the risks, somebody else would be standing here tonight. And yet, she risked her life every single day for 4 years to protect the life of another human being. Bronislava Korpi, Tehezer Chorana Baruch. And so I stopped asking the questions of why and began to ask the questions on the order of what if. What if? What if instead of one Raoul Wallenberg, there had been 10,000 Raoul Wallenbergs? What if instead one Oskar Schindler, there had been 10,000 Oskar Schindlers? What if this wonderful country of ours had permitted the passenger ship St. Louis to dock on these shores and unload its cargo of refugees? What if we had bombed Auschwitz? What if our neighbors to the North Canada had found room for 5,000 Jewish orphans? What if? What if we had traded trucks for Jews in Romania? What if Switzerland could have permitted the entry of 5,000 orphans? Would it have lost its neutrality? What if? What if? Those of us who survived asked the question of why. And so we developed for ourselves a rationale. For me, I guess somewhat arrogant, if you will, I developed my own mission, my own purpose of survival. Lo amus ki echya v'asaper, I shall not die, for I shall live and bear witness. We just said it in the Haggadah. But then the question is, bear witness to what? I survived to bear witness to brutality, to bestiality, to the ugliness of the human spirit, or maybe, no, I survived to bear personal witness to decency and human courage. To bear witness to the best of humankind and not the worst, so that our children and grandchildren will never ask again, what if in the future? What if their parents, their grandparents stood up to every single day to say no, no to hatred, no to bigotry, no to prejudice, no to racism, and yes, also again and again, no to anti-Semitism. Our presence, your presence here tonight, and throughout the world, where good people, Jews and non-Jews, come together to say Yizkor, to say Kaddish, to remember. Your presence here tonight is a resounding message to all the bigots, that we will not forget. But not only will we not forget, we will not be silent. In this rich mosaic of diversity that is our wonderful United States of America, we have to find ways to live together, to grow together, to learn together. We have to learn how to choose our words carefully, to understand the power and danger of words, and to take responsibility for the words we utter and their consequences. The Holocaust Shoah did not begin with gas chambers. It began with words, ugly, hateful words that demonized, degraded, debased Jews. And those words became ugly deeds. They were the bricks of the Auschwitz and Treblinkas. The September 11 attack did not begin with planes transformed into missiles or box cutters. It began with words, ugly, hateful words that demonized, dehumanized, debased Americans and everything that we stand for. And those words, too, became ugly deeds. So we need in every way to denounce the rabble-rousers who traffic in fear and frustrations. We need to cleanse our communities of prejudice. We need to speak up and speak out and protest when anyone is maligned or treated with contempt, no matter who the victim or the perpetrator. It isn't always easy. It takes courage, for it runs frequently the risk of peer disdain or disapproval. Every time we laugh at an ethnic joke or racial slur or religious stereotype or let an expression of contempt pass in silence, we tacitly contribute to the atmosphere of prejudice. It is only silence and indifference that enables a bully, to hurt, to maim, and to scar. In Jewish tradition, we believe that life and death is in the power of the tongue. 3 times a day, Jews who follow the tradition of praying 3 times a day ask the Lord, Nitzor lishoni mira, keep my mouth from speaking evil. On Yom Kippur, we confess and seek atonement for the sins we have committed, quote, with utterance of the lips, and those committed by groundless hatred. Never again. Never again was an 11th commandment etched in the aftermath of Auschwitz. It was etched by the Jewish people based on a Jewish experience. But never again that pledge, that imperative, has a universal message and mandate. And so for all of us in this room, we must bear witness and be faithful to that commandment which instructs us all to never again be silent whenever anyone is in fear, in danger, isolated or singled out because of the color of their skin, their ethnic origin, their religion, their sexual orientation, or anything that makes them different from the rest. Do that, pledge that, fulfill that. And not only will you do tikkun olam, not only will you repair and heal the world, but you will, in the most ultimate way, honor the memory of those who died as victims of hate, solely of the crime of who they were. Tehei nishmatam tzorah b'tzorah chaim. May their memory be a blessing for us and a lesson for us in the future. Thank you very much.